Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Dammit Jim's Gun Info. Today we're going to be discussing the Uzi 9mm.
The Uzi 9mm?
You know your weapons, buddy. Any one of these is ideal for home defense.
As you can see, we have two of them here. We have the Uzi pistol, we have the Uzi carbine. What we don't have is a mini Uzi, which is an actual slightly larger than this one, slightly smaller than this one, but it operates basically the same way. The Uzi originally was an open bolt firearm, which means you pull this charging handle back and it would lock to the rear. The bolt had a permanently machined firing pin forward so that whenever the trigger was pulled, the round would feed as the bolt moved forward and would feed around into the chamber, and as soon as it chambered and the bolt closed into battery, it would fire the 9mm round, and then the recoil would cause it to blow the bolt back, and it would continue to feed like that as long as the ammunition was available or the trigger was pulled. And then once you let off the trigger, then it would lock the bolt to the rear, and if it ran out of ammunition, then the bolt would end up being stayed forward. So you'd end up having to pull the charging handle back to put in a new magazine. Now both of these are semi-automatic Uzis. The one right here is the Uzi pistol. As you can see, it is 9mm. This is a 20 round magazine by IWI. They have 30 and 32 round and even larger magazines, to include drums if you can find them. Simple operation. Put the magazine in the gun when it's loaded. With the weapon on safe, pull the charging handle back. As you can see, there's nothing in there. You let it go. It's a heavy bolt, heavy spring. So you have a grip safety. Grip safety keeps the weapon from firing until the safety is flipped to fire. And then you grip, and you would end up then pulling the trigger, and then the gun would fire. And then recoil action would reset the bolt until it runs out of ammunition. Okay, setting that aside, we go to the Uzi carbine. Now, this weapon comes with the 16-inch barrel because it's technically by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms as a rifle. So it must have a 16-inch barrel. So this one has a display barrel in it, which is not a real barrel. It's just a display barrel. It will not feed or function as an actual barrel. But to show you how compact the Uzi actually is, but don't be fooled, this is a very heavy weapon. It's all stamped sheet metal, solid block of steel for the bolts, metal springs. When you add another 30 rounds of 9mm, that's another pound and a half that you're adding to with steel magazines. So when you start putting everything together, this is quite a heavy firearm. Now, what you can end up doing is you can buy an aftermarket or a replacement or just the parts for the top cover, which allows you to put a red dot scope on your Uzi. It doesn't interfere with the charging handle, and depending upon how the setup is set up, you can still use your iron sights. Now the stock on this is metal, adding more weight. To actuate your stock, you would pull down like so and pull it out. It locks and it locks. So now you have where you can shoulder your Uzi 9mm, and it's relatively comfortable to fire. I wouldn't anticipate you getting a very comfortable cheek weld, but overall, as a combat gun, this weapon is extremely reliable. I mean, they're still in use today by the Israeli military, Israeli Defense Services, and several different other countries across the world that have access to these. So to collapse your buttstock, you push the button in, it comes down, you pinch. As soon as you pinch these, pull up, and then you pivot this up to lock, and it locks into place. There are aftermarket or other accessory buttstocks that you can get, like this wooden stock, which is originally designed for this. It just feeds back on the original by taking the bolt out of the back here. There's a screw you remove. Once you remove that, this whole assembly comes off, and you'll be able to slide that in and lock it into place. You can also utilize this after you remove the buttstock, and it will replace the screw on the back, and it allows you to use different types of stocks that are available out there, where you can just slide them right on. You can have like this one, which is a side folding stock by Sig Sauer, and allows you to collapse the stock sideways instead of underfold. Now, as you were listening earlier, I said this is a 9mm, and it has the 16-inch barrel, and it currently has the display barrel. To change the barrel, to go back to the actual barrel, you pull down on the latch, turn your knob, and then pull that off, and then the display barrel comes out. And then you can take your real barrel and reinstall it. Notice the half moon notch on it, and it locks right back into place. Put your barrel nut right back on, and it screws back into place. Then you have a little bit of a ratchet there at the end to make sure it is fully engaged. And now this detent prevents this from coming unscrewed when you're firing. So with the 16-inch barrel back in, as you can see, it looks a little bit silly, but if you do the appropriate paperwork with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, pay the $200 transfer tax with the appropriate photographs and fingerprints, and a delayed wait of anywhere from 3 months to a year, then you'll get that wonderful tax stamp back, which then will allow you to put an actual 10-inch barrel in the Uzi, which is what it was originally shot with, originally came with. So overall, it is a very fun gun to shoot. It's 9mm. They have different conversion kits for 41 Action Express and 45. There's a lot of different accessories that you can get, different railed accessories that you can get to put a hand grip and everything on it. This makes this much more comfortable and fun to shoot. Now, to give you an idea of the disassembly, it's really simple. Eject your magazine. There's nothing in this one. Roll it over, pull your action back, ensure that your weapon is clear. So the weapon is clear. We're going to go ahead and hit fire and pull the trigger with grip safety engaged. Drops the heavy bolt. And what you do is you pull back right here. There's a little latch. Pull back on it. The top will slide right up and off. Then your heavy bolt is in there. You will pull it back slightly. Then you will lift it up, and the bolt and the firing pin all come out of your weapon. And there you go. So as you can see, the barrel fits into this trunnion cross piece right here. You have your ejector for the rounds, and it reassembles really easily. You get your bolt, you get your firing pin. It slides right into place. Once it is in place there, you reassemble everything by putting it back into the receiver. Pull the charging handle back just a little bit, or the bolt back just a little bit, and everything fits back into place. Put the front notch in, rotates down and latch with that latch. Then you roll it over. Pull your charging handle back. You hear the little click that cocked the firing pin, and then we could pull the trigger again, and it fires. Now again, the trigger on this is not a match trigger by any means. It's a very heavy trigger, and it's because it's moving a big mass of the firing pin. It's not a small firing pin like you would have on your Glock or your Smith & Wesson pistols. This thing is pretty hefty. So overall, this is the 9mm Uzi family. Fun guns to shoot. And if you have an opportunity to pick one up, I highly recommend it. They're getting very, very pricey nowadays. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and please make sure we hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching Dammit Jim Guns, and we'll talk to you later. Happy shooting.